I'm Kelly Christie.
And I'm Bill Christie. We came to Nashville in 1989. I was hired at Vanderbilt in the finance area of the Owen Graduate School of Management, and we had been married 9 years at that point, and loved being in Nashville, but hadn't really had a church home for some time.
However, I was singing in the Vanderbilt Community Chorus, and Polly Brecht was our accompanist, and Polly also was the accompanist at Westminster. And Polly had kept telling me about this great church and this wonderful place to sing and worship. And I thought, no, I don't know that I want to be that involved. But I talked to Bill about it and said, why don't we attend the church and see if it feels right to us? And we attended on a Sunday, and our first thought was it was just like home. It was home in our hearts, but it was also home in that it was very much like the church, Kingsway Lambton in Toronto, that we had attended at the United Church of Canada. Great music program. I started singing in the choir, and the more I participated in choir, the more I listened to the gospel and the worship service and the text, and we really became invested in what Westminster is doing and started to believe in it. And I think we started volunteering at Habitat. Maybe was that one of our first?
We became members. It took about a year of we were of course inspired by Casey's preaching. Yeah. And after about a year, we decided this was going to be our church home. And then, so we went through that. And then it wasn't too long after that we moved into being elders and sitting on the session. And that, of course, gets you highly involved in a lot of different parts. Kelly became very involved in the music. I went more the administrative route and was on things like the Benevolence Committee and the Finance Committee and the Worship Committee, which, again, you have a chance to meet so many other people in the church that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do.
Yeah, and from there, the more I thought about being involved in the church, the more I thought, I can do more things. And I remember Carson Salyer coming into the church with Hugh Harvey in his overalls one Sunday saying, come on, anybody can be at Habitat. And I thought, okay, I'm pretty bad at it, but I could try, I could hammer a nail. And I showed up and started being involved in Habitat and have co-chaired it for the last couple of years. I absolutely love it. I love the service that we do on behalf of the church, and I love that we take the love of God out and in our community. And when it came time to be involved in generosity, I was invited by Jim Adderhold, who has since passed away, to be on the generosity committee. And I thought, that sounds pretty intense, but I'll give it a try. And I love it. And I've been chairing the generosity committee for a few years, and it's easy for me to talk about how much we love Westminster. I can honestly say that Westminster changed our lives. It is now our family. Everyone in our family lives in Canada, and so our church family is our family, and we care deeply about it, and it is easy to be generous in that community.
And it was fun. After about a year after we became members, Guy Griffith arrived and began all of the adult education that we both became involved with. And so I started out in Disciple 1. I'm not even sure I said a word for the entire year because I really didn't know very much. But then went through with him and others through the entire Disciple curriculum, and Christian Believers, I believe, was one of the names. We had a number of additional ones, and Guy had asked about whether I might be interested in leading one of them. And leading is not the right phrase. Facilitate. I can't really lead anything in terms of the gospel, but I can facilitate. And so we began a group on Tuesday mornings that used to start at 6:30 a.m. at church before the pandemic that we called Daybreak Believers. And there were a number of us who did that, and the pandemic really didn't slow us down. We just switched over to Zoom, and in many ways that's been a nice way to be able to facilitate it, because we're not limited really by size. So we're up now to about 16 people, and we did give a little bit. We start now at 7 instead of 6:30.
As part of the choir community, not only is it singing on Sundays and participating and leading worship, but we have remarkable opportunities with John Semmingson and Keith Cole to go on tour. We have toured with the adults only. We have toured with the youth, which Bill and I particularly love. There are opportunities to chaperone with the youth. We have been in various cities in Europe. We've been to Ireland, we've been to Canada, we've been to Germany, Italy. Just wonderful, wonderful opportunities to get to know people on a different level. We have been to Israel and Jordan as part of more of a Bible study pilgrimage.
Yeah, there have been a number of those in the footsteps of Peter and the footsteps of Paul, the Israel trips. So the opportunity to travel both with the choir and with the other members of the church on a more curriculum-based
Study.
kind of orientation has really been valuable. It's just amazing being over, in places like the Holy Land when you're able then to come back into church and hear the discussion of the places and, wow, I have been there. And to have leaders like Guy and Donovan take us has been really valuable.
I know one thing, too, that has made a huge difference for me in my spiritual growth is listening and putting an emphasis on text in our singing. And John Simonson is absolutely committed to that and intentional. And that same dedication to the worship aspect takes place when we travel to Israel and Jordan and these pilgrimages. Every day someone will do a devotional, and it just reminds us in our souls that this is more than us consuming what's out there in different countries. It is about sharing what we know about the gospel and God and being the footsteps if we can. In terms of thinking about the future of Westminster, personally for me, I hope that Westminster can bring the joy and the light and the community that we have so greatly appreciated and needed in all of the ways in which the church builds community. And I hope that families will continue to join. I hope some of the families that we haven't seen since the pandemic will come back. I hope we can encourage young people to stay engaged and bring what probably is going to be a very important part of their lives as they get older.
Yeah, we had been in Nashville for about 15 years before we really discovered Westminster. And so finding ways to be able to bring the church out into the community, into those people who may not know that much about the church at all. We were very fortunate that we had someone approach us. It'd be great when we can have the church make itself available in more of an informal way and in a broader way within the community to bring people in and to continue to help it to grow and to nourish people.
Donovan said to us one day in the service that so much about Westminster is invitation, and we found Westminster by invitation. Bible studies were started by invitation. Our involvement in Habitat and Room in the Inn and the various ministries, Joy and Learning, were all invitational. So I hope the church continues to put a focus on being invitational, being inclusive, and reaching people where they are and being willing to adapt and change with whatever is going on in the community at that time.